Hello and welcome to the Bison Basketball Show. Thanks for joining us this week. I'm Brian Shawn. The NDSU men were able to scratch out a road victory at South Dakota to even up their Summit League record at 1-1, and a big week with 3 straight home games, starting with Denver this past Thursday. The Bison had never lost to the Pioneers at home, but it would be a battle. Early on, NDSU's defense would lead to offense. Tapped away by Paul Miller, Cameron Hunter coming up with the steal, leading to a Tyson Ward layup for a 2-point lead. Daniel Amigo came off the bench for Denver and provided a spark, setting the screen for Jake Pemberton and rolling to the basket for a lay-in, Pioneers building a 9-point lead. NDSU would rally back with a 6-0 spurt, Paul Miller knocking down the 3 from the wing, Bison getting back within 4. But Denver would finish the half on a 9-0 run of its own, Pemberton hitting a pair of threes and scoring 14 points as Denver would take a 13-point lead into the locker room. In the second half, the Bison would trail by as many as 19 points, but with 6 minutes to go, A.J. Jacobson would knock down back-to-back triples. Jacobson with 11 points, and the lead is down to 7. With under 2 minutes to go, Miller would knock down another 3 to trim the lead to 6. He finished with a team-high 20 points, but NDSU would get no closer. The Herd shooting a season-low 6 of 26 from outside the arc, Miller and Cameron Hunter each having opportunities in the final minute to cut the lead to 3, and Denver goes on for the victory 67-61. NDSU shot 11 of 19 from the free throw line, while the Pioneers out-rebounded the Herd 38-29.
Right after a game, this is the most probably disappointed I've been in a loss. I mean, it's almost embarrassing a little bit, losing back-to-back games at home. I thought we had a great crowd tonight, you know. It's one, we'll watch film on it right away tomorrow, and then after that, just put it in the rearview mirror, but got to get better at a lot of things.
The Bison looking to respond less than 48 hours later, hosting Oral Roberts. The Golden Eagles getting on the offensive glass early, Javen White grabbing the rebound, going back up and in for 2, and a 19-11 lead. But the Bison respond in the final 10 minutes of the first half. Tyson Ward getting the feed from Paul Miller and hitting the 3 as the shot clock expires. Ward had 13 points and 7 rebounds as NDSU gets back within 1. Then with just over a minute to go in the half, A.J. Jacobson hitting the long 3. The Bison a 10-2 run to end the first half and led by 3 after the first 20 minutes. In the second half, Ward gets the rebound, looking ahead to Dengu. He throws it down as North Dakota State builds an 11-point lead. Ward another great find as he dumps it off to Dylan Miller. He slams it home. NDSU had 18 assists in the game on 29 made baskets. Sophomore Emmanuel Nezekwezi kept ORU in it, scoring 13 of his game-high 23 points in the second half. The Golden Eagles would trim the lead to 5. But the Bison would get back-to-back baskets from Paul Miller, 2 as he cuts inside, getting the pass, hesitating, and scoring. Miller led the Bison with 20 points. Cameron Hunter would also add 14 second-half points, 2 on the driving lay-in. Hunter also a game-high 6 assists as NDSU pulls away to pick up its second conference victory, 82-64. The Bison shot 55% for the game and connected on 10 of 19 from outside the arc.
We started out really sluggish in the game against Denver, and we had a hard loss in that game. But we responded and gave the fans what they wanted and what they deserve. I mean, I started off slow in the first half, and then my teammates got me involved in the second half, and I got it going.
You still ain't got no buckets, though.
We need to get rid of that roller coaster. We just need to start going up the roller coaster and not down at all. And you know, it's one of those things where we're a little bit young, but our senior leadership, including myself, need to do a little bit better job leading this team and being a little more focused on a daily basis. You know, hopefully we can just keep getting better as the year goes on.
The Bison returned home to host in-state rival North Dakota a few days later in the 193rd meeting between the two schools. Paul Miller had 10 early points, including this 3-pointer from the wing, to tie it up at 17. Miller, a game-high 27 points. Later, Dylan Miller, quick pass in the paint to Dengu for the jam, as both teams go back and forth, tied at 25 with 8 minutes to go. But North Dakota got hot from the outside, hitting 10 3-pointers to open up a double-digit lead. Marlon Stewart had 4 triples and led the Hawks with 20 points. Bison down 9 at halftime. In the second half, after falling behind by as many as 16, NDSU rallies back. A.J. Jacobson driving inside for the lay-in, Jacobson chipping in with 18 points. Then with 9 minutes to go, Tyson Ward connecting on the three. He notched his 5th career double-double with 13 points and 10 boards. The lead is down to 4. But Gino Crandall would score 7 straight for UND, including this acrobatic shot in the lane plus the foul. Fighting Hawks go on to win it 86-77. The Bison out-rebounded North Dakota 39-21, but turned the ball over 17 times. That led to 32 UND points.
We have the excuse that we're young, but we don't want to use that. So, we just got to sit down and guard and, make some of the open ones, and then we'll be fine. We need all the energy that we can get going to Fort Wayne. They're a very good basketball team. So, this is the one that we need and one we can definitely get.
Stay with us. Much more to come here on the Bison Basketball Show. Dave Richmond joins us in studio to break down the homestand coming up next.
The Bison Basketball Show on Midco Sports Network is presented by Nodak Insurance Company, Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, and Proceed.
Welcome back to the Bison Basketball Show. NDSU men's coach David Richmond joining us here on the set to break down what was a busy week at home, Dave. 3 games in 6 days. It's one of those things as a coach where there was some good, there was some bad. What do you take away from this long homestand?
Yeah, certainly there's a lot to take away, but when I say a lot, I'm not sure what I want to take away. I think the good part for us, the encouraging part for us is that for us, better is consistency. We've proven that we're capable. Now that the next step for our group is to consistently prove that we're capable, consistently prove our worth day in and day out. And, there's been some interesting struggles at home. We got to maybe change some things from a routine standpoint. But there's also been some terrific wins on the road, too. So I believe in this group. I always have believed in this group. I will continue to, but we got to continue to progress and find that consistency.
When you talked about the consistency, Dave, one thing you had mentioned after the game against UND is guys have to kind of play through some things and kind of learn as they go along, and nothing really replaces game experience, and that's I think what we're seeing with a lot of these young guys.
Yeah, there's no question, and it's just hard for me to accept any of that, right? You're 19 games into it, but I still have to remember Cameron Hunter is still a freshman. Tyson Ward is still a true sophomore. Chris Quayle, Rocky Cruiser are guys that have are still in their first Division I basketball season, and I think the bigger part for us is handling our throughout a game you're not going to be perfect, and say you take 7 shots. Let's say a total of those 7 shots took you 21 seconds to execute. But what do you do in those other minutes and that? You can't let those little negative things affect the other aspects of the game that are so important, especially to us, so important on the defensive end.
And it's not like everything goes bad in a game. It's one game maybe the rebounding's really good, turnovers are bad. Maybe one game the defense is good, the shots aren't going down. It just seems like when everything arrives, it's all the ingredients are there.
Yeah, another game we have a couple guys in double figures, and only a couple guys in double figures, and then the next game we got 4 guys too. So again, I think that's part of leveling it out and being consistent with it. The beauty of it is it's all progress for us. It's all part of the process, and we've got 10, 12 league games here left. We've got a non-league game. We've got a conference tournament that we're really shooting for to be playing our best basketball.
You talked about having 10 conference games. It's still a long way to go. When you really look at it, it's still a month and a half before you're getting towards tournament time. And you actually have an opportunity because of the league schedule to probably have some more meaningful practices in January, February than what you were able to have in the past. I mean, that probably helps, right?
Well, certainly. And I think the key part in those is having good practices and building good habits and carrying over those good habits. And we've got to eliminate those bad habits in practice so they don't carry over in the game.
One thing that some teams really struggle with, especially mid-majors, are going on the road and getting victories. Your team's been able to do that. True road victories, 4 true road victories, which is among the tops actually in Division I. So your team has proven it can go do that on the road. And so going to Fort Wayne this weekend, you get a nice little break here before you have to get ready for that one.
Yeah, I think we're going to paint the Shield Center a different color. But no, again, I've said it from the start. I think we have a tough, competitive group with a great competitive spirit, and they've got a mentality, a fighter's mentality, and you can really see that on the road. At times when when you know there's adversity, when you know your back's against the wall, when you know there's some circumstances that you're going to have to overcome. And hopefully we can continue that here this week against Fort Wayne, and then find some things from a routine standpoint that work for us at home as well.
And you guys have had some good battles with Fort Wayne over the years. This kind of turned into a fun little rivalry, hasn't it?
No doubt. And they hit a bunch of threes last year at our place, but we were able to overcome it. And I think that was the fire alarm game, which
right.
were the way they were shooting. The building probably was on fire. And then we went down there and we played great for about 10, 12 minutes, and then just, credit to them, they really took it to us that last stretch. So it's a place that we haven't won in a while, and as much as it's this and that, it's about us getting better with that consistency that we just talked about.
All right, Dave, good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
I appreciate it, Brian. Thank you.
All right, stay with us here on the Bison Basketball Show. The Bison women had a road trip this past weekend to Denver and Oral Roberts. We'll recap that coming up next. Welcome back. Road trips in the Summit League can be tough on a young team, and the North Dakota State women found that out firsthand this past week, heading on the road for 2 tough games, starting with Oral Roberts. The Golden Eagles had won 6 straight against the Bison coming into this matchup. The two teams trading baskets early, Taylor Thunstead spotting up for 3 and knocking it down. She had a pair of triples on the night. Later, Jacobson would keep the dribble, working off the screen and hitting the jumper. ORU led by 9 after the first quarter and would pour it on in the final 10 minutes of the half. Sarah Garvey would hit back-to-back threes. Oral Roberts would outscore the Bison 22-5 in the second quarter and take a commanding lead into the locker room. North Dakota State would respond with a 13-2 run to open the third quarter. Riley Jacobson maneuvering inside for 2. Jacobson had 8 points and 11 rebounds. Later, Michelle Geisler-Rova would lob it inside to Emily Dietz for the lay-in. The Bison pulling back within 15, but that would be as close as they get. The Golden Eagles out in transition. Maya Mayberry with the lay-in. ORU outscoring NDSU 42-22 in the paint and roll to the 71-48 victory. Geisler-Rova was the only Bison player in double figures with 12 points. The Bison women continuing their road trip in Denver on Saturday, and a good start. Marina Fernandez tightly guarded but able to find a cutting Taylor Thunstead for the lay-in. The senior finished with 10 points as NDSU leads 13-8 early. Later, Michelle Geisler-Rova spots up for the long corner 3 and connects. The Bison led by 5 after the first quarter, shooting over 60%. The NDSU defense also did a good job of slowing down the Pioneers early on. Macy Quilvang with the block inside. She had 2 of the Bison's 5 rejections on the day, but Denver would finish the first half on a 20-5 run behind the hot shooting of Claire Gritt. She knocked down back-to-back 3-pointers late in the first half, and the Pios led it by 8 going into the locker room. The Bison would cut the lead in the third quarter. Riley Nudell spotting up and drilling the long triple. She scored 14 points on the afternoon. Riley Jacobson led the herd with 17 points and 8 rebounds, 2 on the left-hand layup midway through the third quarter. But there was no slowing down Denver. The Pioneers hitting 16 3-pointers on the day. Lauren Lovin had 4 triples and led all scorers with 18 points as Denver pulls away to win it 98-79. The Pioneers had 20 offensive rebounds while NDSU had 18 turnovers. We now welcome in Maren Walseth to the set to chat about the Bison women's past weekend out in Tulsa and Denver. And Maren, I know coming into this weekend you knew it was going to be tough. I think the score is probably not as indicative as close as the games were at times. You played very competitively with Oral Roberts, and Denver actually had a first quarter lead. But that consistency bug kind of got you again, didn't it?
Exactly. It's a run that somebody puts on. And basketball is a game of runs. And our inability to consistently contain those runs has been a challenge for us. But there are certainly bright spots coming out of the second half at Oral Roberts. I really thought we played intense, inspired, went on a run of our own there. So it's a game of runs.
When you talk about that, all of a sudden a run will get away from you a little bit. How do you coach a team from trying to settle those things out? I know trying to use your timeouts strategically and all those sorts of things, but that's some of those growing pains you still just have to go through, isn't it?
It is timeouts, it is growing pains, and it's understanding that our emotion can't overtake us in those times, that a made basket can't rush us into taking the first shot available, but using our patience and using our poise to get what we want, and so it's balancing that emotion that so many young players have.
We've kind of seen you throw out some different lineups out there, not only in the starting lineup, but certainly different reserve groups, trying to find that right combination. Is that something you're still kind of searching for here a little bit? Because we saw a lot of different players playing some different roles than what we've seen in the past.
You know, we've got a deep team, and I like that. I like what everybody can bring to the table. And in different games, certain things are needed, whether it's defense or outside or 2 posts or 4 guards. You know, so I am comfortable with who we have. It's finding the right matchups versus the opponent is what we're still looking for.
What are you working on right now when you bring your team back in, trying to have meaningful practices? And you can do that this week because you don't have a game until Saturday. You have the whole week to kind of work on some things. What are some things that you spend a lot of time doing with the extra practice time?
Really excited that we have our quote-unquote bye week this week. So yesterday and today, it's all about us. It's our defense intensity, our defensive urgency, our defensive communication, because really I think that's what's our challenge right now. So being able to focus on our defense for a couple of days is very beneficial for us. And then we'll take a day off and we'll get back into the scout routine. But when you play so many games, often the little nuances and the small tweaks and the small things we can focus on, unfortunately, get overlooked.
Well, the good news is you're at home this weekend taking on Fort Wayne. That's an opponent you guys know really well. You beat them last year at home. Talk about taking on the Mastodons, a team that's still kind of going through some of those growing pains as well.
They are a young team and a young team with a new coach. And so finding their identity is still something that's a work in progress for them. But they are much more organized, much more poised. I'm excited for a game on Saturday.
All right, Mara, thanks as always for the time. We wish you best of luck, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, Maren Walseth here joining us on the Bison Basketball Show. Stay with us, more to come. We check in with one of the sophomores on the NDSU men's basketball team, Jared Samuelson. Quite a road to Fargo. We'll have that story coming up. Welcome back. Recruiting is always a major part of any college basketball program. Coaches often spend numerous weeks on the road finding players that fit their system. But sometimes the talent finds you. Jared Samuelson came to a summer camp at North Dakota State as a virtual unknown, but earned himself a roster spot with the Bison. This week we go one-on-one with the sophomore from Gretna, Nebraska. Back for another episode of One-on-One here on the Bison Basketball Show, and we are joined by Jared Samuelson, and we're out in the three-point line, which is where Jared does most of his damage, the sophomore out of Gretna, Nebraska. And Jared, interestingly enough, how you ended up here at North Dakota State, you weren't really on the coach's radar at all until you came to a camp here. Can you talk about how you were able to kind of work your way in to a North Dakota State scholarship?
Yeah, I came up here, I think summer going into my senior year to go to this camp, and then they just kind of liked what they saw, I guess, and kept tabs on me throughout my senior season. Offered me a walk-on position my freshman year, and I decided to take it and follow my dream, and then just been working hard and got blessed with the opportunity to have a scholarship here.
And you came from a very successful high school program. Your senior year, I think Gretna was 27-1. You guys won the state championship, and I think only lost 3 times your junior year. So you have brought a lot of winning to this program when you came here. Talk about your high school program.
Yeah, high school, I mean, it's coached by 2 great coaches, Brad Feakin and Bill Hurd. But, that culture was very good back in Gretna, and, it's similar here, but obviously they take it to the next level when you reach Division I NCAA basketball. But I mean, it's just winning is it's something that you gotta learn to do, and so I think I can help bring that.
You came in here as a walk-on. Not many walk-ons come in and play a significant role like you did as a true freshman. Were you surprised how quickly you were able to get on the floor and contribute? You hit some big shots for NDSU.
A little bit, but I think I just I came into this place and I just wanted to work hard and do my job. I didn't really have any, wasn't really scared of anything, I guess. I just kind of wanted to come in, do my job, and help this team win as best as I can.
You come from a small town, obviously. You were Nebraska Player of the Year. What else outside of basketball were you involved in? I know you were, I believe, a pretty good quarterback in high school.
I wouldn't say pretty good. I was average quarterback. But yeah, quarterback in high school, played some baseball as well, track a little bit, but mostly it was just basketball and football, playing some quarterback, and got some playoff wins a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. When you get away from basketball, what do you enjoy doing? I know you're a finance accounting guy, right?
I am, yeah. Also like to play some ping pong. I enjoy that. Some Xbox with Tyson over there, and but yeah, I mean, I just kind of do whatever's there with my friends.
Ping pong. How'd you get into ping pong?
Ping pong table in our basement back
really?
Home. Yeah. Some rough family competitions down there, but it's fun.
So do you dominate everybody on the team?
Yeah, nobody can compare with me in the household.
Can anybody compare with you on the team?
me, Tyson, and Cameron had some good games in the dorm rooms. I don't think they beat me yet, though, so it's pretty easy down there.
Ping pong.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We have a ping pong player here. Well, Jared, we appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with us, and good luck.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That is Jared Samuelson, one-on-one.
Samuelson was named the state's Player of the Year by the Nebraska Basketball Coaches Association his senior year. He scored a career-high 14 points for NDSU back on November 28th at Stephen F. Austin. We're back to wrap up the Bison Basketball Show after this.
The Bison Basketball Show on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Nodak Insurance Company, Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, and Proceed.
Back to get you ready for the week ahead as the Bison men and women get back into conference play this weekend. The women hosting Fort Wayne on Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. That game can be seen on Midcoast Sports Network 2. Join us then. Dave Richmond's crew will hit the road to Fort Wayne to take on the Mastodons. That's a noon tip-off on Saturday. We'll recap both of those contests next week. Thanks for joining us this week. Enjoy the games, everybody. See you next time.